I have to give this world a lesson introduction. That year Zhang Sheng, who was reported by the head of the organization, came to this world that year. Faced with the beginning of the collapse, he saw the sword and sword of capital, the beasts lurking in the cruel and dark forest, and the confused entrepreneurs. After the financial crisis he habitually gave a grimace. I will give 3 million to those who betray me. What about those who follow me? My name is Zhang Sheng. You understand the applause. Chapter 1. Breaking Through the Sky. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Can't we just be like this in our lifetime? Is it destined that this is the only way for us in this lifetime? Zhang Sheng, can you tell me that in this world, people are not allowed to live anymore? Are we really just leaks at the bottom? I really don't want to do this broken network management. In the early morning. The lights dim. As the excitement gradually dissipated, the Ah Fu barbecue stall appeared particularly messy and desolate. Wang Pengzi, a network administrator who dropped out of junior high school and graduated, spat a mouthful of saliva, finished the last string of fruits in a drunken state, cursed in frustration, and then looked up at the sky, unable to help but sigh. He looked like an old dog that had been kicked and wanted to bark, but couldn't come out and could only whimper a few times. After a while, seeing the young man wearing glasses on the other side who had not replied for a long time, he turned his head and looked at the young man with a puzzled expression. What's wrong? Are you talking? Your vocal cords have been stolen. The young man's eyes were still dull, and stripped the skewers. His hands were raised in the air, but they did not fall for a long time. However, the once innocent gaze gradually became murky, then murky and clear again, followed by a slight tremble throughout the body, causing Wang Pengzi's anus to tighten. The night breeze blew by. A plastic bag was blown up, shining brightly under the bright moonlight. The young man with glasses finally put down the string and pushed his glasses, his clear eyes somewhat dazed. Then, Wang Pengzi suddenly felt his old friend across from him, becoming extremely serious, with a slight sense of murderous intent. Wang Pengzi's heart couldn't help but tremble. That was an indescribable conditioned reflex, accompanied by a vague sense of expectation that he didn't even know, and he instinctively held his breath. Fatty. I've been thinking for a long time. Whatever you want to say, just say it. As the young man spoke, the fat man suddenly felt that the pressure on him was no longer so great. The resentment of being falsely accused by the internet cafe owner of stealing money, being smoked by customers, and being scolded by relatives and friends for being unproductive instantly dissipated. Generally speaking, people tend to prefer comparisons, which are inexplicable. When an unlucky weak person encounters a weaker person who is even more unlucky than themselves, they often derive some of their own value and a vague sense of achievement from them. The man with glasses is miserable. This summer. He was admitted to university, just received the admission letter, and then father's pyramid scheme was defrauded by millions and jumped down from the 12th floor. My mother was mentally unstable and couldn't withstand the blow, so she followed suit and flew down. The bespectacled man, who should have died like a lamp, was burdened with a high debt of 1 million yuan. Not only did he run out of money to go to college, but it was also a question of whether he could even survive. Compared to him, the loser Wang Fatty thinks he's pretty good. At least he is a successful person with both parents and no loans. Sometimes, human nature is so strange. He always finds a sense of superiority in the man with glasses. This sense of superiority makes Wang Fatty love to invite him out for barbecue. After chatting with him, Wang Fatty feels energized to go to the internet cafe to work the next day. How can such a person survive? Why don't I have any reason not to live well? Fatty people. I don't think we're the same kind of people. Hey, yes, if your dad didn't do pyramid schemes back then, you. Hey, you wouldn't have been unable to raise enough money to go to college. Your dad is such a scumbag. Thank you for the hardships that have made me more mature. The man with glasses suddenly showed a strange smile at the corner of his mouth. Read less motivational books, you have to accept reality, it's really not possible. Let's not go to this university, come to our internet cafe, I'll cover you up. The chubby guy felt a bit strange, but unconsciously followed the words in his mind, with some inexplicable little expectation in his heart. He imagined that in a future internet cafe with this unlucky guy, he would also be a little leader. I suddenly found it quite interesting. My parents have both passed away, and my fate is full of twists and turns. As a standard, I am paired with a chubby male lead. Isn't this the fate of the protagonist in the novel? What? A gust of wind blew again and the plastic bag fell to the ground. Wang Pengzi's words of comfort immediately froze on the spot, and at that moment, he suddenly felt that the man in front of him with glasses was a bit mentally unstable. What's going on? The fat man saw the man with glasses looking at him, and suddenly the chrysanthemum shook again. That gaze, with a fiery, teasing tone, a hint of coolness, a hint of domineering CEO, and I'm so special. Why does this guy look at me like an animal? And especially those who cherish animals. Damn it. Fat guy. Cherish the current impoverished life well, otherwise. What? Otherwise, you won't be able to enjoy a poor life. Alright, I'll go rest. The glasses man pushed his glasses again, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and then stood up. After yawning, he turned around and left. Zhangsheng, why are you going? You. Go to sleep. Where are you going to sleep? Your house is mortgaged, you. Sleep in your dormitory. My dormitory only has one bed, are you so? Then let me sleep, you go to the internet cafe to deal with the night. I must maintain sufficient sleep, by the way, I remember you have a second-hand computer, right? That computer will be mine from now on. Oh my, your sister, isn't barbecue AA, stop it. Give you a chance to invite me, no need to thank me, no need to be grateful. In the future, you will be grateful to you now and will be grateful for it. The glasses man pushed his glasses, his smile becoming even hotter. I only have 30 yuan all over my body. Only with investment can there be returns. Invest me 20 yuan now, and in the future, you will receive a return of 2 billion yuan. What? Zhangsheng, I'll do it. You opened the dormitory door. Fatty guy, don't make noise. Didn't you go to the internet cafe to deal with it all night? Paralyzed, I've already finished work. You opened the door, I'm in a hurry to pee. Can't you go to the side to solve urgent urination? Sleeping trough, find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. How can I solve it on the street? Don't make any noise, the dormitory is for me to use today. Why don't you go to the internet cafe and solve it yourself? Don't disturb my creativity. If it's really not possible, you can find a tree. Can people still be suffocated by urine? You're so special. Outside the house. The fat man smashed the door like crazy. The whole person was both tired and collapsed, tears were about to fall. Inside the house. Zhangsheng impatiently shook his head, tapping on the keyboard with a strange smile on his face. At first, he responded to the fat man with a few words, but later he ignored how he smashed the door. On the old computer screen, a Word document called "Breaking the Sky" flickered. On the Word document, a novel chapter appears. Chapter name, Chapter 1, The Falling Genius. Well, it seems to be called this name. Remember the protagonist's name is anti-inflammatory. Wait, is it gastritis or anti-inflammatory? Anyway, it's just a matter of getting divorced. I can write. Zhangsheng pushed his glasses again, and his smile at the corner of his mouth became even more eerie. He unconsciously wandered through his own world and began to mutter to himself. Inside the house. The sound of the keyboard continued to crackle. Outside the house. Wang Pengzi shouted hoarsely, smashed the anti-theft door and made a hoarse sound. Finally, He was tired and planned to call the landlord. Just as he took out his old phone and dialed the number, he suddenly heard a loud noise in the room. His face changed drastically. "I'm his mother. What are you doing paralyzed?" New person, new book, new writing style, seeking all support. Chapter 2. Enjoying Poverty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This is a wild, obese, single, and messy otaku dormitory. Inside the dormitory, socks, underwear, instant noodle bags, ubiquitous toilet paper, and unknown stains in the paper basket are simply dazzling and beautiful. These things naturally ferment in a dark and damp room, naturally giving rise to a strange and deadly fragrance. Zhang Xing's breath lingered with these fragrances, and he was deeply immersed, as if his entire being had merged with this world, and his soul had undergone a qualitative leap. Strictly speaking, he had not stayed in such a magical room for more than 10 years, and everything around him made him feel novel and full of curiosity. He closed his eyes and suppressed this desire. He knows that it's not the time yet, he still has more important things to do. Since I have inexplicably come into this world, I must at least change some of the current situation. Only by changing the current situation can I enjoy the present and the gifts this world has given me. Zhang Sheng, who came into this world before, actually lived a very difficult life. Now my body is at least in debt of a few million, my parents are dead, and I am impoverished and unable to even afford college. What else? It's gone. And before coming to this world, Zhang Sheng lives very hard every day, 365 days a year, almost 300 days being hijacked by various phone calls and motivational lectures, and then forced to sell his talent and earn a meager few million yuan in compensation. Although he doesn't feel guilty, deep down in his soul, he feels like he's being crushed by a big net and can't breathe anymore. He always feels like the world is gray and white. I naturally feel depressed. Sometimes, after waking up from midnight, tears flow down my face and I can't help but sigh. I think that I'm already in my 30s and I'm still a useless person. Not only do I lack any life skills, but I haven't even held the steering wheel of my Porsche, including the Lamborghini, which I don't like as a means of transportation. It's all driven by hired drivers. He even began to feel a bit cynical and self-dissecting. It was unbelievable that people like him were still worthy of living and could make money with just a few passionate words. These people could even queue up to give money to him, which was truly unfair in society. He, who has no way to express his thoughts, naturally feels lonely like snow. And then the driver changed one after another in Zhang Xing's loneliness. Just like Zhang Xing's love, it has changed one after another. Love. He has no love. People like him are naturally not worthy of love. Love is a sacred thing, a precious thing that supports each other, a noble thing that is inseparable from poverty and life and death. And he is surrounded by girls every day, listening to their sweet words and being deceived by hypocrisy. He cannot distinguish between what is true and what is false. He only knows that when he comes off the stage, he is surrounded by girls, and his ears are always filled with cheers and screams. He repeatedly refuses, saying that he only wants to have a simple and unremarkable love, but in the end, he is greatly disappointed. The girls always hold money to make him surrender. He fights against fate several times, but ultimately becomes a victim of the girls, sinking to a low point and losing the right to pursue love. Time flies, years pass by, and Zhang Sheng has sighed and sighed in front of the mirror many times, hating the unfairness of the secular world and the reality of reality. The world is really unfair. Why does he have to look so handsome? If he could look even uglier, or be as big and thick as Wang Pengzi, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, he wouldn't have so much trouble. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as, this is a world of dry qi, without fancy and gorgeous magic. Some are just the dry qi that has flourished to its peak. The new book's hierarchy system. Gan Zhe, Gan Shi, De Gan Shi, Gan Ling, Gan Wang, Gan Huang, Gan Zong, Gan Zun, Gan Sheng, Gan Di. The keyboard of the old computer is clattering. He is full of passion. He strives for freedom, and this world is the most beautiful for him. He has an ordinary appearance, an ordinary background, no one pays attention to him, and is a completely ordinary person. Zhang Sheng was immersed in it, recalling the plot of a book from the original world in his mind. Although my memory is blurry, I vaguely remember that this book seems to be very popular. The wireless channel was once invincible, allowing a certain author named Tudo to earn a lot of money. Buying a house or a car is definitely not a problem. Money. Although Zhang Sheng is not very interested in money and enjoys the upcoming impoverished life, imagining various difficulties without money, he has to admit that sometimes money is a useful thing, and more importantly, he needs a small amount of money to go to college. In his previous life, Zhang Sheng dropped out of high school before graduating. He stayed in a certain organization for a few years, became a leader, and successfully whitewashed, but in the days that followed, he never forgot about college life. In life, there are always regrets, lost and unattainable things, which always make people love and never forget. How good college life is. Being able to sit in a spacious school, study various knowledge that is difficult to learn in society, receive lectures from doctoral supervisors, and sleep in dormitories. Having a few close friends, listening to them talk about their dreams for the future, and delving deeper into young people, enjoying the hard-won youth, grateful of poverty, grateful to heaven for giving oneself such an opportunity. However, Zhang Sheng, are you special? Open the door. Damn you, are you special? Outside the house. The fat man's voice became increasingly hysterical, and his throat was about to crack. Unfortunately, Zhang Sheng, who was immersed in the codewords, couldn't hear any sound outside at all. That is a feeling of soaring in the text. He is like a creator, seeing a few scenes of Ganjili, seeing the protagonist being divorced, and seeing that kind of unwillingness. He writes very fluently. How refreshing. Until, bang. Zhang Sheng never imagined that the computer would explode. This is not scientific. However, the computer did explode, making a bang sound, and then the flames shot extremely high, startling Zhang Sheng. My computer, my computer, Zhang Sheng, you bastard, you killer, I'll kill you, my computer. The door was knocked open, and Wang Pengzi screamed in pain before rushing frantically towards the room and cutting off the electricity in the early morning. The sky is hazy and bright. The hard-working sanitation personnel have already started working. The fire was extinguished in the dormitory. Zhang Sheng lit a cigarette from the fire and sat on the bed, silently looking at a burnt notebook. Before Zhang Sheng received the notebook and prepared to code, it seemed a bit bulging, but Zhang Sheng didn't think much. Who had ever expected this as a painful lesson? Based on Zhang Sheng's inference over the years, it is probably related to the unstable voltage of the socket. Fatty guy, I will compensate you with an internet cafe in the future, which will be called the Wang Family Internet Cafe. The decoration must be high-end, and the chairs must be uniformly made of esports chairs. The configuration must be the highest. The investment must be in the millions. Upon hearing the lies of the lying king next to him, Wang Pengzi felt no waves in his heart. He was already filled with immense sadness, wanting to cry without tears, yet extremely painful. This laptop is his youth, his reliance, and even his 32G overseas girlfriend who has accompanied him day and night. And then it's gone, there's nothing left. Fatty guy, we mourn. Get lost. Fatty guy, one always dies, and the laptop is the same. It's actually quite peaceful. Look, at least it exploded brilliantly. That spark, TSK, you see. Get lost, you really got lost. Before I don't want to kill you now, get lost. Get lost to me. Zhang Sheng encountered a huge setback when he first started his business in this world. Wang Pengzi ignored his composure and promises, as if Zhang Sheng was just a fraud. He almost used all his strength to push Zhang Sheng out of the room and then slammed the door shut. Outside, the starry sky shines brightly. Zhang Sheng pushed his glasses, showing a hint of regret on his face, but not feeling hopeless. Fatty guy, young people have a bigger picture, isn't it just a computer? I'll compensate you with one internet cafe, but if not two. He said to the crack in the door, and after hearing no response from inside, he sighed. It seems that the fat man's anger is on the rise, and in most cases, it will be difficult to dispel tonight. Looking at the clouds on the horizon about to break, Zhang Sheng touched his pocket and felt quite novel. Is it really bullshit? Just as Zhang Sheng sighed, the door opened. Oh, chubby guy, I knew you had a big appetite. Forget it, let's find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. We have a friendship, and there are only 3 families. 3 internet cafes, that's enough, isn't it? Just as Zhang Xingxi frowned, the chubby man handed over his luggage and stuffed the admission letter from Nanjing University into it, his expression turning from hesitant to indifferent. Get lost. Zhang Sheng looked at the admission letter, extinguished his cigarette butt, and sighed again. Fatty guy, you're not authentic anymore. I'm now in a state of decline. Get lost. Bing. Zhang Sheng wanted to say something more, but he saw the door tightly closed without any intention of reopening. Zhang Sheng shrugged his shoulders. Fatty guy, are you going to sever ties with me, a college student? Fatty guy, I'm a college student with a bright future ahead of me. Fat guy. A hint of fish belly white appeared on the horizon. It's getting light soon. Zhang Sheng looked at his luggage, then at the distance, and finally a beautiful image flashed through his mind. I remember, I had a beautiful desk mate who seemed quite wealthy and also had a house in Yanjing. How about letting her invest in my computer? Hey, it's cheaper for her. Forget it, who made me kind? She's not bad to me, is she? After Zhang Sheng muttered to himself, he picked up his luggage and left the dormitory with a hint of emotion. As he walked downstairs, his whole body suddenly stiffened and he suddenly realized something very deadly. That's 300 kilometers away from here. He's penniless, can't he walk over there? Newcomer's new book, Seeking All Support. Chapter 3. Literary Girls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the end of summer, autumn has not yet arrived. The bustling Yanjing is bustling with blooming flowers. The evening sun shone through the window and onto the desk, dyeing it a faint red color. On the desk, Lin Xia took off her glasses and lazily stretched out, then inexplicably feeling a bit reluctant. After 2.5 years of hard work, the final draft of the 200,000-word novel, that summer, was finally completed, just like the journey of 3 years in high school, and finally came to an end. Finally finished writing. Done. Okay, I will immediately contact the editor-in-chief to plan and publish. Thank you for your hard work. It's not hard, you've been working hard. Thanks to your guidance during this period. Hi, don't say that. This is what I should do. Wait for my good news. Okay. After Lin Xia uploaded 200,000 manuscripts to the editor's email at Kaimingsing Publishing House, she briefly exchanged a few words with the editor before turning off her computer. The sunset is about to set, and the distant sunset is bright red, like a flame that burns across the horizon. She stood up and glanced at the graduation photo by the table. In the graduation photo, 3 years of time seemed like a fleeting dream, and every classmate's appearance was imprinted in Lin Xia's mind. Memories flooded in, making her feel a sense of disappointment. Some people are destined to only accompany us on extremely short journeys, even if they are reluctant to part ways. They are just waving their hands, wave your hand and leave, then leave forever. Except for those figures in my memory, nothing will be left behind in the end. Thinking of the last paragraph in the book, Youth and Youth, Lin Xia suddenly became particularly sad. She picked up her graduation photo, looked at the faces in the photo, and recalled everyone's story. Memory goes back to the last lesson before graduation and after the college entrance examination. There is no heavy academic workload, no pressure of the college entrance examination, and no pressure of employment like a whip. Everyone is chatting about the future, discussing the future, and discussing employment to their heart's content. Gao Fei's NBA basketball dream, Zhang Ponpon's singer dream, Shen Lanlan's animation dream, Zhang Mengjie's loud confession before going their separate ways, everyone was imagining the most beautiful future and saying some things they didn't dare to say in class, but as they spoke, they inexplicably brought some tears of separation. You are the best class I have ever taught. May your future be bright, may your journey be rainbow, and may years later, when you return, you will still be young. The homeroom teacher, Monk, who once cursed them out of dog poop is also rarely praised by everyone. After blessing them, everyone left the classroom with a loud noise. Class 2 of Grade 3 is the best class in Sangdong County and also the best class in the college entrance examination of the entire Shanghai district in 2011. Recalling past achievements, Lin Xia couldn't help but feel a little proud, with a crescent moon on her lips. She performed the best in the entire class and is also one of the few people in the entire Shanghai district to be admitted to Yenjing University. After feeling proud for a while, she put the graduation photo back on her desk, sorted out her emotions, and picked up the novel, The Last Penny, by Russian writer Chekhov to read. Chikalu is one of Lin Xia's favorite writers, and it is said that he is the hottest nominee for this year's Nobel Prize in Literature and one of the most anticipated popular writers by the organizing committee. The book, The Last Penny, is easy to understand, with the protagonist as the storyline, and uses a very humorous way to connect the joys and sorrows of each character. Lin Xia is immersed in it, and unconsciously it is already 6 p.m. in the evening. The sunset has already set, and the sunset reflects half of the sky red. Lin Xia reluctantly put down her book, stood up, and walked towards the kitchen. Although in school, she is a girl wearing glasses, somewhat gentle, and sensitive, at heart, she is an independent woman. My mother is busy with work, and although she meets every day, she is interrupted by countless phone calls after only a few words of conversation, and always hurriedly leaves home. My father, on the other hand, spends years abroad and rarely sees me a year. Even though I was admitted to Yenjing University, I only received praise from my father on the phone and never returned. Lin Xia has been sensible since childhood. Although she occasionally passes by a shopping mall and may envy other parents who take her children to other shopping malls, she understands her parents and never complains. In middle school, she gradually tried to live independently. After graduating from high school, she even fired the aunt her parents invited and officially moved to Yenjing to live alone. After entering the kitchen, she tied on her apron and started cooking dinner herself. At this moment, the phone kept ringing non-stop. She frowned and took out her phone, seeing text messages one after another. Lin Xia, I graduated. Can I invite you to have a meal together? I have something to tell you, Lin Xia, there is a saying that I have been buried in my heart for a long, long time. Lin Xia, I like you, ... Upon seeing these messages, Lin Xia couldn't help but blush, feeling a bit flustered and at a loss. SMS is a series of confession messages. I don't know if it's a coincidence or a prank, but the sports committee member Gao Fei from the neighboring class and the study committee member Su Kongjian from the class almost simultaneously sent themselves text messages. Lin Xia ultimately replied with a few lines, "Thank you for liking, but I'm sorry." After returning, she muted her phone. These boys are excellent, but she doesn't like them. It seems subconsciously that she doesn't want to fall in love at this time. Or after falling in love in a naive way, even after being together, many people cannot afford to go to college, cannot withstand the turmoil of society, and ultimately break up. Isn't it written like this in many books? The future. Who knows the future? Lin Xia placed her phone next to her and suddenly smiled at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com before continuing to cook dinner. I am Lin Xia's classmate. I am really Lin Xia's classmate. Oh, I really don't know what to say about you guys. I'm a student, and students don't have phones. I'm not really posting small advertisements. These ads, oh. Can you let me in, at least let me meet with Mr. Lin. I can understand you, but please also understand me. Why don't I just take off my clothes and show them to you? I really didn't bring any advertisements in, I told you, I just got off the advertising truck. I don't sell anything, I don't even have a phone. How can I sell it? Just as she was about to start cooking dinner, a commotion came from the door. After hearing a familiar sound, Lin Xia frowned slightly, then turned off the gas and walked towards the outside. Outside the house. Under the afterglow of the sunset. Lin Xia saw a young man with disheveled hair and wearing a work uniform called Forest Integrated Stove, breaking free from the hands of a group of security guards and rushing towards her side. Lin. I'm Zhang Sheng, I'm your desk mate. I want to talk to you about dreams. You need me, I am sure you need me, and I will be the noble person who will change your life. Give me 1 minute, no, give me 30 seconds. Don't look at me dressed like this, I'm actually a writer, experiencing life. Chapter 4. Lin Xia's Dream. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Lin Xia's impression of Zhang Sheng is actually not deep. Throughout his senior year of high school, he didn't talk much, only knowing that he was a shy rural youth who was quiet and often took leave. Although the person is very honest, their sense of presence is very weak and their grades are average. The later college entrance examination seemed to be okay, and I was admitted to a second-tier university in Yanjing, which is generally average. A second-tier university may be good for most people, but for this class, it's not very attractive. The sunset in the evening dyed half of the sky red, and the ancient poets once described the sunset as infinitely beautiful, gradually reflecting on Lin Xia's delicate face. The wind blowing in the sky lifted Lin Xia's neat hair. Lin Xia looked at Zhang Sheng, who was in a disheveled state, but her eyes were filled with a fiery and sincere expression. Lin Xia felt her face inexplicably hot, but instinctively with a hint of vigilance, she always felt that the young man in front of her, who resembled Zhang Sheng, was definitely not her desk mate. He seems too abrupt and too weathered. Yes, Lin Xia didn't know if it was appropriate to use vicissitudes to describe a young man who had just graduated from high school and was about the same age as herself, but in her subconscious, a word came to her mind. Lin, have you forgotten about me? You once borrowed my eraser. On April 3rd this year, while taking a nap, you still drool and your sleeves are wet. Zhang Sheng, dressed in a Senran integrated stove, broke free from the group of security guards and looked at his desk mate who seemed to be similar before, constantly talking about what he believed was a unique little secret between the two. When Lin Xia, who was at a loss, heard these words, her face instantly turned red, her lips almost gritted her teeth, and her heart was extremely flustered. Stop talking, Zhang, what are you doing with me? I'll just say, I'm Lin Xia's classmate. We're not just classmates, we're still desk mates. You know, desk mates. Security guard, go ahead and keep busy. There's nothing more for you here. Zhang, what exactly are you looking for me for? Oh, Lin Xia, I haven't seen you these days. You've become more beautiful and lively. I just said, in the whole class, it's my desk mate who looks the best. Zhang. If you say these strange things again, I will. I will. The security guard looked at Lin Xia with confusion, and after confirming that Zhang Sheng was indeed a classmate, he relaxed his guard, but ultimately did not leave. Zhang Sheng leaned towards Lin Xia and kept saying various strange things. Lin Xia felt a bit annoyed and embarrassed. As she looked at Zhang Sheng approaching, although she didn't feel disgusted, she was speechless to the extreme. Lin, I'm tired from traveling, can you please invite me in for a drink of water? If there's anything, just say it here. I'll stand outside, can you pour me a glass of water? With so many security guards blocking me, what else can I do? Well. Okay, you wait here. I haven't eaten all day, can you give me a piece of bread? Lin Xia glanced at Zhang Sheng. She, who has had good manners since childhood, naturally wouldn't make a move or let the security guard directly drag Zhang Sheng away. She hesitated for a moment, but eventually nodded before entering the room. Security brother, you can leave now. You can't stand the clothes I'm wearing, can I just peel them off? Pattern, what about your pattern? I really appreciate your spirit of love and dedication, but you can't just hold on to me like this, can you? I'm not really posting small advertisements. I am a college student who is about to go to Yanjing for college. I came to Yanjing during the summer vacation to familiarize myself with the environment and visit my classmates. However, on the way, someone stole my wallet. Oh, who knows, under the feet of this emperor, how could I still be robbed of my wallet? Outside, there was a faint shout from Zhang Sheng and the security guards. Lin Xia's hearing was naturally not bad, listening carefully and attentively. Zhang Sheng's voice seemed very sincere, and every sentence had a very high tone that seemed to carry a convincing tone. When Lin Xia heard Zhang Sheng say that her wallet had been stolen, she couldn't help but feel a chill in her heart, but then her childhood sense of vigilance reminded her that she couldn't believe everything she said. However, she still took out the bread and water. Outside, the security guards did not disperse and still stared fixedly at Zhang Sheng. When the bread and water were handed to Zhang Sheng, he sat on the doorstep without any regard for his image, starting to swallow a mouthful of water and a mouthful of bread. Lin Xia suddenly felt a little startled as she watched, feeling that Zhang Sheng was like a starving ghost reincarnated, afraid that this guy would choke, and then lay dead next to her. Oh, thank you, Lin. This thing is barely good. Zhang, please tell me what you're looking for today. Can these security uncles leave first? There are some things I just want to say to you. No way. So, can we make them stay a little further away? It's not possible either. Okay. Lin Xia naturally cannot let the security guards leave. She is not familiar with Zhang Sheng, and at this moment, Zhang Sheng is completely different from the one deep in her memory. The aversion is not significant, but she already has a sense of vigilance. In case after all, I live alone. After eating flat, Zhang Sheng was not angry either. He just closed the lid of the mineral water bottle and sat on the roadside, with a hint of satisfaction flashing on his face, as if enjoying the last time given to him by the sunset. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent, and Zhang Sheng seemed to be pondering something deeply. After about 30 seconds, Zhang Sheng finally turned around and looked at Lin Xiao. Lin, I know your dream is to become a writer. In fact, I am also a writer, and I am a writer with great ambitions, who has endured hardships for many years, and has experienced many twists and turns in my story. Don't be fooled by my current situation, but in reality, I am just experiencing suffering, the suffering at the bottom, which is an experience that no amount of money can buy. Zhang Sheng's gaze was extremely serious and sincere to the bone. This seriousness made Lin Xia subconsciously seem to have some hint that she should trust this person. But that sense of vigilance still exists. Writer, in Lin Xia's heart, is a sacred word, but it seems strange to say it from Zhang Sheng's mouth. In my memory, Zhang Sheng's essay score doesn't seem to be very good, and his writing style is also extremely average. Among at least 40 people in the class, Zhang Sheng can only rank average. Haha. Lin Xia didn't say anything yet, but a security guard next to him couldn't help but laugh, which was extremely impolite and piercing. Ha ha ha. After the security guard laughed, the other security guards also laughed together. It seems that Zhang Sheng's words are laughable, or his ambitious appearance is laughable, or he is joking like something, with extreme humor. Lin Xia did not smile, but did not respond, just quietly watching Zhangsheng. Laugh, you guys laugh, laugh well, the sparrow knows the ambition of the swan. Okay, you're Honghu, okay. We're Yenkei, Mr. Honghu. After chatting, you've had enough to eat and drink. You can leave now, don't affect your neighbor next door. When you finish experiencing and dress up properly, can you come over? When the time comes, I'll personally open the door for you. I haven't finished chatting yet. Then hurry up and talk about things. Our time is limited, why don't we wait for you to come to our security room and listen to you talk about your dreams? The laughter of the security guards was very joyful. It seems that they haven't encountered such a happy thing in a long time. Zhangsheng's appearance is like a joke, a piece of fun. The sunset finally sets, and the sunset gradually becomes faint, like a flame gradually extinguishing. In the laughter, Zhangsheng remained silent for a long time. The laughter gradually disappeared into silence, as if the security guard also realized that he had gone too far. Hee, have you finished laughing? If possible, I could really go to your security room and chat for 3 days and 3 nights without bringing duplicate samples. Zhangsheng should have been embarrassed, timid, and even blushed, but he didn't. Instead, he laughed along. The smile was very strange, and there seemed to be a slight piercing sensation. But for some reason, Lin Xia noticed that Zhangsheng looked at these security guards with great interest, like a monkey watching a zoo. His eyes were filled with enthusiasm. Zhang, what's up with you looking for me? Reading thousands of books and traveling thousands of miles, I traveled tirelessly from Zhejiang province to Yanjing, but on the way, I was also robbed by a petty thief, which inevitably made me feel embarrassed. However, you should know that I am actually. Borrow money from me. No, it's not borrowing money. We're looking for a book garden at www.zhaoshuyuan.com. We're doing business, or rather, with my keen vision and talent. Are you planning to borrow money or not repay it? Lin, how could you be like this? Our 3 years of high school friendship, you should know that I am. 1 year of high school. Yes, a year of friendship, you should also know. And, this is not borrowing. Really not borrowing. How much do you plan to borrow? No need for 100,000, no need for 10,000, lend me 8,000. Ah. If it's not possible, 5,000 yuan is fine. Just consider it as the starting capital for your investment. I don't have that much. 4,000. No. 3,000. The sky finally darkened. Lin Xia took out 1,000 yuan and finally lent it to Zhangsheng. After Zhangsheng received the money, he pushed his glasses. Lin, you have made a profit. This is the most valuable investment in your life. In the future, you will be proud of who you are now. Lin Xia did not respond to Zhangsheng's words, but took a complex look at Zhangsheng, who was forcibly pulled away by the security guard, and then silently turned around and closed the door. When she walked into the door and was preparing to continue cooking dinner, she heard a sound coming from far outside the house. Oh my, brother, your security room looks pretty good. Oh, you should be able to sleep, right? Aren't you guys going to watch me perform? I'll perform for you all night for free, how about that? By the way, there's a computer in the security room. This thing is great. Do you understand computers? How about I train you on computer typing for free? Chapter 5. Scratching the computer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At the end of summer 2009. Yanjing Haishu Garden. The night wind is not cool, but rather carries a hint of dryness and heat, making it suffocating. After finishing his run and returning home, Lin Xiaye took a shower and changed into clothes. He sat at his desk and habitually picked up the novel, The Last Penny, by Russian writer Chekhov to continue reading. Unfortunately, some emotions are unsettling. I am both looking forward to having my first published book in life and afraid that the physical sales of this book will not be good, and then I will be cut off, ultimately drowning in the sea of books and unable to make any waves. With the gradual popularization of 3G in 2008, electronic reading gradually took over the mainstream. After the final afterglow of school flower strategy, traditional Taiwanese literature finally began to struggle with each passing day. After entering 2009, this trend became even more apparent. In the first half of the year, 80% of Taiwanese books published by Qingxian.com were cut off after only a few volumes, which many well-known writers cannot avoid. The prosperity of online reading is truly a painful blow to physical books. The progress of an era will naturally eliminate countless old things and struggle against the trend in vain, only to be covered in bruises and only to increase pain. Lin Xia understands this truth very well. I hope we can sell a few more copies, but worrying won't help. On the windowsill, Lin Xia took a breath, adjusted her anxious mood, and continued reading. However, after only a few pages, Zhang Xing's appearance unconsciously appeared in his heart, and then he instinctively looked at the graduation photo by the table. In the corner of the graduation photo, there is an easily overlooked vacancy. That position belongs to Zhang Xing. Zhang Xing was absent from taking graduation photos. Not only was he absent from his graduation certificate, but he didn't even attend the last class after the college entrance examination. Not to mention the thank you banquet, singing, and noisy farewell that night. It seems like everyone is immersed in the emotion of parting, or is it like everyone subconsciously ignoring a classmate like Zhang Sheng? Even if there were no accidents, it would probably be the future reunion where Zhang Xing's name would never be remembered, let alone remembered by anyone. Lin Xia suddenly felt that Zhang Xing was like a speck of dust, although it had existed before, it was gently dispersed and disappeared without a trace by the wind. It came lightly, just like it walked lightly. Lin Xia silently looked up at the bright crescent moon in the sky, and after a long time, she closed her eyes again, feeling a wave of doubt in her heart. Is that person Zhang Xing or not? I'm just a security guard. Security guards also need to have dreams. If a person doesn't have dreams, what's the difference between them and salted fish? Okay, then don't talk to me about dreams. Do you have anything else to do? If it's okay, please go back. Brother Su, take a look at your imposing appearance now. You will definitely be someone who can do great things in the future. Why don't you have such confidence in yourself? If you need a pattern, what's wrong with security? 365 elements, every action produces the champion. Security room. Su Bowen's patience had reached its limit, but as one of the security guards, Su Bowen never slapped the young man wearing glasses in front of him and shouted out. This is an uninvited master. After stepping into the security room, he stayed here and said he wouldn't leave anything. Not only did he not leave, but he was also full of dreams, patterns, beliefs special. He is just a stinky gatekeeper. What dreams can he have? Su Bowen was too lazy to pay attention to Zhang Sheng. Perhaps it was seeing that Su Bowen had finally stopped talking to him, and Zhang Sheng felt bored. Finally, he stopped talking nonsense and changed direction, wandering around in the security room. Apart from a computer, there were no valuable items in the security room. Su Bowen naturally didn't think that Zhang Sheng dared to move a computer under his own nose, nor could he touch it. He thought that this bird person would find it boring after staying in this place for a long time, and would be unable to resist leaving on his own. After that, Su Bowen didn't bother anymore. However, as time passed, Zhang Sheng had no intention of leaving. Instead, he found a chair on his own and stayed by Su Bowen's side until the second half of the night. What the hell are you doing? Su Bowen looked very energetic and looked at this and that with great interest, as if he would never get tired of it. Finally, Su Bowen was speechless. Brother, can you type on the computer? I just feel like I have an eye for you. Why don't I teach you how to type on the computer? This is a surveillance computer, do you see it? Surveillance computer, typing is not allowed. I understand, isn't there a useless one next to here? I'm such a security guard, what kind of character do I need to type? What's wrong with the security guard? I said, 365 lines, dot. Brother, it's not that I'm talking about you. We're all talking about keeping up with the times. What does it mean to keep up with the times? For example, now, the 2G signal used to be garbage. How good is the 3G signal now? In the future, 4G signal, 5G. Can you imagine how fast the future network will be? The future smartphones, dot. Pattern, there must be a pattern, dot. This bird is extremely annoying. In the second half of the night, when people were dozing off, Sue Bowen's eyelids were in a fight. Usually, at this time, he lay on the small bed and secretly took a nap. And now this Birdman seems to have infinite energy in countless endless words, making one's brain explode. He finally couldn't bear it anymore. Okay, please don't disturb me. I'll take a nap and use the backup computer next to you, but don't use the surveillance one. Also, please help me with the shift. If someone comes over, please lift the lever. Okay, Brother Sue, you can leave this matter to me and sleep well. No stealing. There are surveillance cameras everywhere here, even if you throw a needle, they can send you inside. Brother Sue, are you still worried about my character? Okay. I'll have a little squint, remember. Damn it, I'm best at raising objections. Dot. Sue Bowen finally lay on the small bed. As soon as he closed his eyes, Sue Bowen heard rhythmic crackling sounds. At first, he was on guard and opened his eyes every few seconds, fearing that the Birdman might do something messy while he was sleeping. However, when he saw the Birdman sitting on the spare computer without an internet cable typing, it seemed that there was nothing else to do. He slowly relaxed his guard, and then his eyelids gradually became heavy. A few hours later, after hearing the keyboard sound stop, Sue Bowen suddenly felt a bit uncomfortable. After opening his eyes, he realized that the security room was suddenly empty. He suddenly looked at the two computers and breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that they were still there. Just when I was wondering where Zhang Sheng was going, oh, Chen-Jie, hello. Hello, Forest Integrated Stove, have you considered it? Dot. It's all hard currency made of stainless steel, one of the top 10 famous brands in the country, and the quality can definitely be guaranteed. Your current decoration just happens to be useful. Just give me your name, you can offer a discount. Dot. If you can't buy something worth tens of thousands of yuan, you won't lose out or fall for it. How about I take you to our headquarters to take a look? In the car, I'll introduce our Forest Integrated Stove to you. Dot. Oh, look, our company's car has arrived. Dot. Sister, you see, it's not easy for me as a young person to start a business. Of course, I won't say that I waited for you all night last night. I just hope to impress you with my sincerity and quality. Otherwise, if you're really unhappy, just treat me to breakfast. If you choose me, I guarantee you're satisfied. Dot. Sue Bowen watched as Zhang Sheng, dressed in a Senran integrated stove, sincerely stood in front of a charming middle-aged woman, introducing the integrated stove to her. The middle-aged woman nodded from time to time, as if she was listening attentively, especially when Zhang Sheng mentioned starting her own business, as if tears were about to fall from her eyes. Sue Bowen was stunned. What is this Birdman doing? Later, he realized that the goods dared to advertise and harass the owners on his own territory, and his eyes widened instantly. When he wanted to say something, he suddenly saw the Birdman pushing his glasses and looking at him. Brother Sue, please help lift the bumper. Our car is coming in to see the decoration. What? Chapter 6. Do you have dreams? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Early morning. The sound of rain is pattering. Lin Xia woke up from her sleep, opened her eyes, and stared out the window in a daze for a moment. A few fallen leaves drifted in the hazy rain and mist, as if reminding the footsteps of autumn to slowly come. Autumn is never a happy day. Let's go to the publishing house today and ask Yang Jia about the market situation. She withdrew her gaze and thought so in her heart. She didn't sleep well last night, excited about the upcoming book and worried about the shrinking physical book market, worrying about becoming one of the victims. A mentality of worrying about gains and losses is actually quite normal. After getting dressed and having dinner, the rain outside the window also stopped, and a brilliant sun shone on this land, making it particularly refreshing after the rain. After stepping out of the elevator, she held up an umbrella and slowly walked towards the entrance of the community. Along the way, Lin Xia saw several waves of intermediaries introducing houses to customers, as well as several familiar neighbors. She looked back at the community and silently got into the moving car. 2009 is truly an extremely special year. With the industry explosion after the Olympics, countless emerging industries rising, as well as the stock market depression after the global financial tsunami, countless stock speculators following the trend went bankrupt and liquidated, with nothing left. Lin Xia had no sympathy in her heart except for some sighs. She is not familiar with them, and in the first half of the year, there have been too many people coming and going like Haishu Garden, making it difficult to distinguish who is who. Often, today, this household has just bought a house and is celebrating, but after a while, they move out with a disheveled face. It seems normal for anything to happen in this rapidly changing era. Who knows? Oh, Lin Xia, good morning. Hey. Just as Lin Xia was walking to the security zone and preparing to go up, she suddenly heard someone greeting her. She instinctively lifted her head and saw a not-so-tall figure running out of the shadow of the security room, facing her with a thud. Lin Xia, the lever on this side is broken and is currently being repaired. Let's go that way. I asked Sue to hurry and repair it. Sue is on the phone. A gust of wind blew by, and the work clothes of the forest integrated stove looked extremely dazzling. Lin Xia looked at Zhang Sheng and didn't know what words to use to describe her mood at the moment. He seems very humble, but his voice and smile are very comfortable. Although he is not particularly familiar, he carries a sense of closeness like a spring breeze. Next to him stood a middle-aged woman holding a contract. Lin Xia glanced and found that the middle-aged woman seemed to have moved in from Haishu Garden a few months ago and was renovating the neighboring building. Zhang Sheng, are you? I was planning to leave yesterday, but I didn't expect to unexpectedly take on a business order. Do you sell integrated stoves? I sold it easily, Lin. If you have any business in the future, you can also introduce it to me. Come on, this way, be careful. Goodbye, Lin. Lin Xia silently watched as Zhang Sheng personally stood up for her, then smiled and sent herself out. When she walked out of the door, Lin Xia saw Zhang Sheng continuing to talk about the contract with the Chen sister. His smile was even more brilliant, and at the same time, it seemed like he had infinite vitality on his body, which frightened Sister Chen for a moment. In less than a minute, he playfully signed the contract. Lin Xia paused for a while, but gradually felt a sense of confusion. The Zhang Sheng in front of him made him feel particularly unfamiliar. Later, she took a taxi and was about to board when she saw Zhang Sheng running towards her again. Lin Xia. I must solemnly tell you two things. What? The first thing is, you give me a bank account number. What's with the bank account? Lin Xia suddenly became alert and stared at Zhang Sheng. Borrowing your 1,000 yuan, I will repay you. I am a person who keeps my promise and will repay every drop of kindness. Zhang Sheng still wore a smile, his eyes indescribable sincerity. Hey. I'll pay it back when you make money. Lin Xia's sense of vigilance weakened slightly. There is another thing that is particularly important. Zhang Xing suddenly became serious. What? You look really beautiful in a white dress. Under the brilliant sunshine. Lin Xia's cheeks burned slightly, and then she sat in the car without looking back. Lin Xia, I haven't finished yet. Whatever you do today, you will succeed. Don't worry and move forward boldly. Confidence, confidence, absolute confidence. After getting on the car, Lin Xia saw Zhang Xing following by the window, constantly saying inexplicable things outside the security room. There is a constant flow of people coming and going. Su Bowen found someone to fix the fence, and after seeing that the bird man next to him had no intention of leaving, his mood became a bit irritable. Does this birdman seem to mistake this place for his home? Taking in a homeless and unlucky person is not a bad thing. The only thing that makes Su Bowen feel speechless is that this guy just needs to seize the opportunity, either run to the nearby computer and type, or chat with himself about his future, just like a brainwashing criminal. He Nima, a stinky security guard, what is his future and future? The only time Su Bowen felt quiet was during lunch break when Zhang Xing would lie in front of the keyboard and sleep for a while. But before he could lie down for a while, the bird man suddenly began to write with a clattering sound. He was originally planning to drive Zhang Xing away, but when he thought about Zhang Xing's hard work to survive, Su Bowen softened his heart. He just wants to scrape together enough college tuition fees. Su Bowen shook his head. In the afternoon, Su Bowen was quite curious about what Zhang Xing had written. Taking advantage of the gap, he also took a few glances and found that there was really a little bit of fascination when he looked at it. Especially with the first chapter on divorce, it made Su Bowen's blood boil a bit. However, it's a pity that someone has already written about the divorce proceedings. Otherwise, there is a real possibility that he will become popular in writing. Zhaozhuyuan.com, are you writing a novel? That's right. Can this thing make money? I can earn it. How much can I earn? Millions. Zhang Xing typed repeatedly, responding to Su Bowen's words. After listening, Su Bowen almost burst into laughter. Millions. Isn't this just bragging? Do you really think you are those great gods, those platinum? Su Bowen shook his head and eventually didn't bother with Zhang Xing anymore. Instead, he returned to his position and left a sentence. Please type softly. Otherwise, I will be criticized by my superiors. You took off the clothes on the Senran integrated stove, which is too unsightly. Also, the shift is about to change, so it's best to save the written things in the USB drive. Otherwise, the new colleagues who change shifts are not as talkative as I am. Brother Su. What's going on? Do you lack security? What kind of thing? Do you lack security? Why don't I come over and work part-time? Don't you sell integrated stoves? That's also a part-time job. You can't do this. We need to be responsible for the safety of the property owners. You're a part-time worker, you're a part-time worker. Who's responsible for the safety of the property owners? Alright, we need to change shifts. You should get out of here quickly. Hey, Brother Su, where do you live? Do you have any children at home? Do children need to learn composition? What are you doing? No, just casually asking. I sleep alone. Rent a room. Wow, that's great. I have a project and I'd like to talk to you, Brother Su. This is a big plan to achieve class crossing. Get lost. Chapter 7. Hell Level Difficulty. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Xiao Zhang, can't you talk to me on your phone? Every time you use a public phone, I think it's an advertising scam and I've been thinking for a long time before answering. Do you think you're Zhou Jingming from Undercover? Hee, that's the way to have a sense of mystery. Forget it, I heard you signed the contract for Haishu Garden. Signed, send someone over tomorrow to install the integrated stove as soon as possible. Okay. By the way, when will you come over? The company has a training session recently. Come and pick me up. You're speechless, can't you come by car on your own? Just install and pick me up. Alright, it's almost 1 minute away. I'll hang up first. I'm at the Limin Internet Cafe. Wait, don't hang up, you. Doodle doodle. The sunset set on the mountain, and the blood-red sunset on the horizon gradually dissipated, and night fell. The bustling unfamiliar city did not give Zhang Xing any sense of unease, but instead felt everything was extremely novel and integrated. The brightly lit streets and alleys, bustling markets, and the dazzling shops, Zhang Xing touched his chin with a strong desire for conquest in his heart. This world, he has come. Is this world ready? Damn it. $1 is gone like this. After a moment of great ambition, he turned back and watched the lights in the phone booth gradually go out, and his ambition disappeared in an instant. After hanging up the phone with Lu Kai, the owner of Senran Integrated Stove, Zhang Xing looked at the disappearing yuan with great pain and then silently walked towards the nearby Limin Internet Cafe. Public telephones were also considered rare in Yanjing in 2009. Zhang Xing estimated that if he came to this world a year or even half a year later, he would not be able to find a place to make calls. Limin Internet Cafe is not the big internet cafe at the street corner, but the small internet cafe outside the 4th ring road of Yanjing and in the eastern area, which is not considered large. Great internet cafes have great internet cafes clean, tidy, and comfortable. It's good to have a small internet cafe. There are many stories, rodents, and a mix of flavors to the extreme, making people unable to help but immerse themselves in it, transcending everything. 2 yuan per hour, 10 yuan per night. Okay, cover the night. The explosive head of the Kill Mat network manager tapped the keyboard with one hand and helped Zhang Xing swipe his card with the other. Zhang Xing poked his head for a moment and found that this was the extremely popular online game Xuan Wutuan in the world. Similar to the original world's Jin Wutuan, it was introduced as an agent by the small stick country and then became popular throughout the Chinese online gaming industry. Big pot of tea. Seeing a seemingly familiar username and a memory that had been dead for many years, Zhang Xing was suddenly resurrected and attacked, causing him to instantly develop goosebumps. He stabilized his mind and finally walked towards the most corner position. After skillfully booting up, Zhang Xing pushed his glasses, clicked on the webpage of Qiming Chinese website, and opened the website backend. Gan Patsang Qi has already written 8 chapters, which is completely different from the situation where others imagine that there are tens of thousands of collections to write casually. Nima Zhang Xing's Gan Patsang Qi only has 20 collections, and the comments section only has a few mutually recommended comments besides advertising. It's so devastating. As for the signing text message, Zhang Xing watched it for a long time, but didn't see the signing text message in the background. Damn it. This is not scientific. It's agreed that as soon as we travel, we'll blow up the sky. What about flipping through this and that? It's those chaotic time travel novels, dude, they're just trying to trick me. Or am I lacking in writing and storytelling skills, with too many potatoes? After pondering for a while, Zhang Xingzhua finally realized that what he had written was not as popular as the first few chapters of Fighting Against the Sky. In the original world, I only remember the vague plot of 30 years in the east and 30 years in the west of the river, not deceiving the poor youth. The rest they are all self-made. I can't even understand copying. Why don't you give me the entire memory system and let me write down the entire book? Wait, if you give me such a powerful character and the entire system, then people in this world still have a way to survive. Isn't this purely crushing? This is too unfair. Forget it, let's lower the demand. It's not realistic to earn tens of millions from this book, just barely make a few million. What if I earn too much money and become famous? Isn't that the same as before, becoming lonely like snow, and the girls running over with their hooked hands, unable to distinguish which one is true love? Hey, this doesn't work, I still need to keep a low profile. In the internet cafe, it's noisy and noisy. In front of the computer, Zhang Sheng was imagining the future in his heart, feeling both worried and beginning to reflect on himself. Subsequently, he switched out of the background and glanced at other novels in this world. After reading it, the slightest worry in his heart finally disappeared, and instead the corner of his mouth twitched slightly, causing him to tremble uncontrollably. In this world, there is a similar divorce novel called The Transformation of the Sky, which is now featured on the homepage of the big promotion, with various data dominating all the rankings, feeling lonely like snow. Zhang Xing went in and found that the author's name was Tudo. Wait. Can't this be a potato rebirth? Are there any other travelers besides me? Zhang Xing's mind buzzed, and then he immediately clicked on the main text of The Transformation of the Sky. It was only after seeing a similar divorce plot, but with a completely different writing style, that he finally calmed down. This is definitely not a potato rebirth. However, despite this book, The Transformation of the Sky, is also written with great enthusiasm. Zhang Xing read over 100 chapters on the book garden www.zhaoshuyuan.com without realizing it. He was immersed in it and couldn't stop reading it. Even if it weren't for his love for money, he would have had to recharge to read it. Let me wipe it. Can't we really underestimate the indigenous players in this world? Do ordinary people also have it? Zhang Xing left the page of The Transformation of the Sky, and saw another book called The Adventures of Ordinary People. This book tells the story of a rural boy who accidentally entered the cultivation circle and gradually became an immortal. Isn't this a proper stream of mortals? Zhang Xing opened the table of contents and saw the author's inspirational speech after 300 chapters. This book didn't even sign a contract for 300,000 words. It endured until 500,000 words before signing. After signing, it only gave a little recommendation before being listed, but it exploded after being listed. Next Zhang Xing looked at it for 4 hours and saw it in the early morning. Flood and wilderness flow, crossing flow, tomb robbing flow. Zhang Xing saw many different genres of novels in the world, all of which were vividly portrayed on this charming Chinese website. Zhang Xing was completely silent. After a long silence, Zhang Xing suddenly laughed brilliantly. It seems like something extremely worrying has finally disappeared. Okay, it's interesting. If you succeed too quickly and just write casually, you can earn tens of millions. I still find it boring. Hey, how much less joy should we have in striving? Just give me a little more difficulty. I love this world so much. After sighing in his heart, Zhang Xing continued to click on the page of Gan Put Sangqiong and continued to write with a crackling sound. Chapter 8. Dawn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the early morning. The internet cafe has become slightly quiet. Zhang Xing, who had written 2 chapters, rubbed his eyes wearily and squinted on the keyboard for a while. I had planned to squint for an hour and continue working with my head up, but no one expected that this squint would last until the next morning, when the mop of the cleaning lady dragged onto his feet, which woke him up. After waking up, he saw the angry eyes of the sweeping lady and a sigh as he left. Probably, she thought of herself as some internet-addicted teenager. In this era of popular online games, staying up all night is actually normal, and even the floor-cleaning aunties are no exception. A slightly gentle and melancholic music was played on the stage of the network management. Zhang Xing listened to the lyrics and found that they were similar to the year 2009 in the original world. It's all about emotions, love, heartbreak, not being able to lick. He followed the Q.dog music that opened up this world for a while and found that the top-ranked artist was also a young online singer. The voice is similar to that of Wu Gao, and the music style is also similar. Although there are slight differences in the style and lyrics, the overall direction is still very different from the original world. Put on the headphones, click on the song of the singer named Lin Jibai, and Zhang Xing starts typing while listening. After suppressing so many chapters in Breaking the Sky, Zhang Xing felt that it was time to give future readers a taste of sweetness, so he wrote about the mysterious old man in the ring. This chapter was not written fluently by Zhang Xing, although it was a refreshing piece of writing that didn't require much writing style. Many wording and foreshadowing made Zhang Xing's writing a bit bumpy. The plot of this book in his brain capacity is limited, and Zhang Xing has to find a way to fill it in on his own. Occasionally, he writes about places he can't continue writing, and he even opens his browser to search everywhere for how to describe sentences. After all, he is not a professional writer and his reading volume is quite limited, so he really doesn't have the ability to come up with it easily. Dudu, your night package still has 15 minutes left to expire. Please transfer your membership card or prepare to disembark. After finally finishing this chapter, Zhang Xing's computer indicated that it was almost time for him to book the night. Zhang Xing opened the backend of Qiming Chinese website and uploaded these 3 chapters. The word count of Gan Patsang Qi, which is already 11 chapters, has reached 30,000 words, and the collection has reached 26. The clicks have just exceeded 100, and there are only 8 recommended tickets. The comment section still has very few comments. Still in an unsigned state. Sign a contract with 30,000 words. Waiting for the signing text message in the afternoon. TSK Tisk, it's so well written that it's impossible not to sign a contract. Zhang Xing reviewed the plot of the 11 chapters he had written, with a satisfied smile on his face. He then turned off his computer and ran to the bathroom to wash his face and brush his teeth. After looking at the luggage on the ground and his reflection in the mirror, Zhang Xing couldn't help but touch his chin again. Suddenly feeling like a Sanha deity, however, as an ordinary-looking person, it's only interesting to make a comeback. After being narcissistic for a while, he packed his luggage and then took a very serious look at the dirty and messy Limin Internet Cafe. When someone writes a biography for me in the future, the writing in this internet cafe cannot be too simple. Well, it must be written in detail, it needs to be written to make people cry. Zhang Xing pushed his glasses and then turned his gaze to the internet administrator in the distance, who was preparing to eat steamed buns. His eyes suddenly lit up. Hey, buddy, let me talk to you about something. Hey buddy, I'm a writer and I'm currently experiencing life. I'm planning to write a story about a low-level person, but I'm missing a story about an internet administrator. Can I briefly interview you? This can be done, but now. It's okay. Yo, have you always been eating this steamed bun? Yeah. Can I taste the taste of this bun? I haven't eaten this kind of bun for many years, I really miss it. Okay, well, hello, can my character in the book be more positive? Sure, what are your dreams? I want to close this store. Oh, your ambition is not small. Can you tell me how you plan to acquire this store? Teacher, do you have a camera? No, I'm taking materials now. If it is adapted into a documentary later, it will be filmed with a camera. At that time, I have to ask you to leave the country. This steamed bun is still the original taste, good, this soybean milk is still the original taste. Teacher, would you like to try it? Okay. It has been 4 years since the birth of China's first side suction and lower exhaust integrated stove. In the past 4 years, although the integrated stove brand has occupied the gas market at a very rapid pace, the market's recognition of integrated stoves is still in a new and exciting area. Senran integrated stove is not a big brand, not only not. It is also a newly established integrated stove brand in April this year, with only over 10 stores nationwide. Lu Kaikai is one of the store owners of Senran integrated stove. Lu Kaikai is exactly 40 years old this year. He used to be a painter, but after being injured and unable to do some heavy work, he reluctantly withdrew from the industry. By chance, he came into contact with the integrated stove, and then he keenly realized that this thing would become popular in the future and would definitely have a huge market. Therefore, disregarding the opposition of his family, He threw all his savings of over 500,000 yuan into this store and acted as the agent for this forest integrated stove. Who knows, the product sells extremely poorly. Except for when we first opened the store and signed an order with a relative, we actually sold a total of one product in May and June. On the one hand, the brand Senran integrated stove is too small and customers are really not interested. On the other hand, the newly established marketing team doesn't understand any technology, and the bumpy and unprofessional appearance makes customers feel scared. Although the manufacturer has also taught them some technology, they only teach them technology. For sales, their field is extremely vacant, and their substantive role has not been improved. His wife argued with him many times, asking him not to drive his advertising car around anymore. She even asked him to turn it off now and lose a little less. Despite feeling frustrated and wanting to give up, the final unwillingness made him decide to stick to it for the last month. At the beginning of the last month, business was still bleak, and there were still many people consulting, but no one bought it at all until the last few days of the last month. He met a young man wearing glasses. You need to change your route to Haishu Garden. The Haishu Garden is at least 300 miles away from here. Find the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and we'll go there. We've been losing money on fuel costs. Boss Lu, I always feel that you are a very insecure person. Those people in Haishu Garden are all wealthy. We need to deal with wealthy people and find their pain points. Do you know what pain points are? We need training, we need to select talents, we need to enter the high-end market. Forget it, your store doesn't have much business anyway. Why don't you bet on me? I'll get you an order tomorrow. Boss Lu, I noticed that you have a deep sense of inferiority. Oh no, forget it. You put me there and wait for good news from me. Mobile phone. I don't have a phone, I will contact you then. Don't worry. In the morning. The sun is shining brightly. Lu Kai, who had just finished installing the Haishu Garden integrated stove, was in a good mood. He drove the advertising car for the forest integrated stove to the entrance of the Limin Internet Cafe and got off the car. Just as he got off the car, he was about to find Zhang Xing when he found him walking out of the internet cafe with a young man. The young people were crying uncontrollably, as if they had undergone some kind of baptism. Xiao Zhang. When Lu Kai fixed his gaze on Zhang Xing's appearance, he shook his head violently. Somehow, under the sunshine, Zhang Xing carrying his luggage and Zhang Xing patting the young man's shoulder looked like a savior from the holy light in a movie. Oh! Boss Lu. Speaking of Chow Chow, let me introduce you. This little brother's name is Li Bin, who is the administrator of the Limin Internet Cafe. Aren't you in need of talent? I found a talent for you. Xiao Li, aren't you complaining about your lack of platform? You should get in touch with Boss Lu. What? Chapter 9. Dawn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Signing, book number confirmation, version confirmation, proofreading, submission for review, signing for sale. Lin Xia silently finished reading the publishing process of That Summer, and couldn't help but look out the window. A light rain started falling outside the window, and the banana leaves kept swaying in the gentle breeze. Yang, the responsible editor wearing thick glasses across from the table, looked at her eagerly, becoming more satisfied as she looked at her. She nodded from time to time, as if she had obtained some rare treasure. We will arrange for you to sign with teacher Qiao Hongying and debut together as a young and beautiful writer. Teacher Qiao Hongying specializes in children's literature, while you specialize in youth literature, which can just concentrate the attention of young readers. On the field, we will arrange some top teachers to assist, and they will participate in the signing event of That Summer. When necessary, we will also contact the leaders of the copyright department. There are film and television professionals on Taiwan who are extremely interested in this movie. Yang Jie talked about the arrangements for the signing of That Summer, and every word revealed her expectations and hopes, as if a rising star was piercing through the darkness. Lin Xia still stared at Xiao Yu outside the office, as if she had not heard Yang Jie's arrangements at all. "Teacher Lin Xia, do you have any suggestions for our arrangement?" After Yang Jie finished speaking for a while, she realized that she had been singing a monologue all along, so she put away her smile and patiently asked. Lin Xia did not respond. Yang's lips moved, but as she looked at Lin Xia's mesmerizing expression, she didn't say anything to disturb her anymore. The wall clock rings second by second. The tea on the table gradually cooled down. The light rain outside the window finally stopped. When the silence in the office reached its peak, Lin Xia finally turned her head and looked at Yang Jie with complexity. "Teacher Yang. The song, That Summer, needs to be modified. What should I change?" Yang was taken aback. "It seems like everyone in the book is there, but only one desk mate who didn't take graduation photos is missing." "Ah." In the office. Yang Jie was shocked for a moment. Lin Xia looked up at the ceiling. "Some people are too ordinary, so ordinary that they look like dust. After 3 years in high school, even though they are very close, they have no sense of existence, no characteristics, and no specialties. But perhaps." Lin Xia paused and said, "He is the person with the most story." The office was once again plunged into silence like water. The storefront of Senran Integrated Stove is located at the crossroads slightly off the well in Yanjing Prefecture. Although slightly off the beaten track, in Yanjing, a place where every inch of land is precious, a rent of 100 square meters would cost 130,000 yuan per year. The 130,000 yuan in 2009 is an incredible number, and one can probably buy a 10 square meter small balcony in the suburbs of Yanjing. But it is obvious that high investment and income are not proportional. Currently, Forest Integrated Stove has only opened 2 orders, making a total of tens of thousands of yuan. The main one is still Zhang Shengheishu's order. In addition, after deducting miscellaneous expenses such as rent, advertising vehicle fuel, and store decoration, the remaining money can be considered as charity for Yanjing's GDP. Nima has a monthly iron loss of 20,000 yuan. Fortunately, the labor cost is not too high. The boss also serves as the driver, delivery, and installation. The boss's daughter Lu Yingying, who has just graduated from college, was brought to the front desk of the store, and the logistics were directly handled by the boss's wife Chen Aiju, a pure family workshop enterprise. Family workshops can only be seen as a last resort in the early stages of entrepreneurship. The management system must be established, and the corporate culture. Mr. Lu, you can't ignore the corporate culture. Even if there are only 3 employees, you must wear neat and tidy work clothes. By the way, Mr. Li, when you go out for installation, you must wear your clothes properly. Also, the clock-in system. I have a brief understanding of your company, and now there is no need to clock in at all. You can work at any time, and even occasionally the store is closed, which is completely unacceptable. When the car arrived at the entrance of the Senran Integrated Stove shop, the boss Lu Kai felt his brain churn, as if it was about to explode at any moment. As soon as Zhang Xing got on the car, he began to popularize various enterprise plans, management systems, corporate culture, and finance. When I was studying in a technical school before, Du Tmo never experienced such pain. After getting off the car, he didn't care about Zhang Sheng and immediately ran to the store. Zhang Sheng carried his luggage, then took a look at the crowded environment, then glanced at the storefront, then pushed his glasses and shook his head slightly, feeling a bit regretful. Isn't opening a storefront here for nothing? We need a storefront like this, but we don't need a storefront that's neither up nor down. Mr. Lu, don't leave. I haven't finished speaking yet. After watching Lu Kai run towards the store, Zhang Sheng immediately followed suit. Lu Kai in front was inexplicably afraid of Zhang Sheng. When he saw Zhang Sheng coming over, he asked his wife and daughter to entertain him first. He quickly went to the bathroom to smoke and calm down. This product Nima is naturally a brainwashing molecule. Being indoctrinated by the company all the way by Zhangsheng, he found himself unworthy of opening a store. He even walked into the store and felt uncomfortable everywhere when he saw everything in it. Squatting in the toilet, his mind is still full of slurry. I feel like I have no confidence at all. Not right. Nima, he is a middle-aged man in his 40s who has been smearing and rolling in society for many years and has rich experience. How could he be brainwashed by a young man who has not even gone to college? After smoking one cigarette at a time, the more he thought about it, the more it went wrong, and he felt like his brain was about to be swayed and limped. Am I the owner of this store? How come I'm just like an employee of this store now? He's the boss, and I have to work for him. Even if you inexplicably sign a contract and the profit is still decent, are you really just working for me? Lu Kaikai was deeply aware that he had been taken over by the crowd. He immediately extinguished his cigarette butt and ran out of the bathroom, intending to educate this young man well and let him understand something. At least he should give himself some respect as a boss, right? Just as Lu Kaikai's mind was filled with various words and he was looking for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, and then he resolutely pushed open the door to give the young man a lesson, he suddenly heard waves of joyful laughter coming from outside the store. That's the laughter of my daughter and wife after opening the store. It's rare to hear them laughing like this anymore. When he approached in confusion, he found that his daughter and wife immediately became serious after seeing him. He's so serious that he's a bit scared. Old Lu. I'll tell the landlord later that we won't rent this store anymore. If we keep renting like this, we'll lose out. The advice given by Xiao Zhang is quite insightful. We actually don't need to spend these wasted money. To do business, storefronts are certainly important, but like us, a storefront without a decoration atmosphere, a storefront without advertising and promotion effects, and a new brand surrounded by snacks that cannot form a customer base and stereotypes, cannot sell this at all. Lu Kaikai widened his eyes, staring blankly at his mother. Law, then at Zhangxing standing next to her with a smile on his face. What exactly did this guy tell his mother? Law. This how can it be? He moved the corner of his mouth. Just as he was about to say something, he noticed that Zhangxing had spoken first. Mr. Lu, there are still more than 20 days left until I go to school. During these 20 days, I will sell you 10 integrated stoves and make up for the money I lost before. How about that? What? Of course, while you give me a commission, you also prepare a house, a computer, and this advertising vehicle for me to drive. Chapter 10. The beginning of a counterattack. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In this world, those who can be remembered are always unique people. The same goes for a class. There are many people's stories in That Summer. Sports Commissioner Gao Fei, who knows how to play basketball, always makes a group of girls scream and go crazy on the basketball court. Every break between classes, he receives love letters with shy faces. The little girls in the class, whether they are good or average learners, will try their best to talk to him, and even a very ordinary joke from him will make people tremble with excitement. Lin Xia vaguely remembers that when Gao Fei said his future dream was to go to the NBA and play basketball with basketball star Kovos, the whole class was silent, followed by countless applause. During every literary and artistic performance, literary and artistic committee member Zhang Panpan always appears in the most eye-catching place. She is tall and extremely beautiful, and it is even more rare to have a good voice. Every time she stands on stage and opens her voice, it makes all the young men and girls under the stage feel endless enthusiasm. In the last class after graduation, it was Zhang Panpan's poem, Farewell Poem, that made many men and women in the class reminisce about 3 years of time and shed tears on the spot, feeling reluctant to part ways. Lin Xia never doubted that she would become the proud daughter of Yan Ying and eventually stand on the stage that attracts so much attention, captivating countless people, manga artist, Shen Lanlan was admitted to the Central Academy of Fine Arts. On the eve of graduation, she loudly expressed her dream. She said she wanted to draw comics, adapt them into animations, and make Chinese animation attract attention throughout Asia, Europe, and even the world. Exaggerated language. In that last lesson, when everyone was talking about the future, no one felt abrupt, and even under the stimulation of hormones, became passionate and youthful, which should be such a brilliant appearance at that class meeting. Countless people were shining brightly. Lin Xia stared at them, surrounded by these lights, becoming dizzy, and then uncontrollably wrote down their stories one by one. She thought this was all about that summer, however. At the moment Zhang Xing appeared, she suddenly realized that she had missed someone. The person in the vacant seat has an ordinary appearance, average academic performance, average family background, is silent, shy, and insecure except for class time. She was never seen, and every time there was a class activity that was not the main subject, she was missing. Even for the last class, her position was still empty. At first, some people were strange and would discuss such a strange person, but over time, they gradually took it for granted and no longer cared about, even asking questions. He seemed like a dispensable weed in the class, growing in cracks and disappearing under some night. Even Lin Xia ignored him for a while. Ignoring him like a speck of dust. The sun is setting in the west. Lin Xia returned to the Haishu garden by car with the manuscript of That Summer. Along the way, she recalled every detail of Zhang Sheng. The information of memories is extremely limited. She only knew that he came from a remote rural area with a relatively poor family background. Even middle school was in the town where it was about to be banned, and he only transferred to the city for high school. On weekdays, my academic performance is average, even a bit lackluster. During the college entrance examination, I performed my best and was admitted to a second-tier university in Yanjing. What else? There were not many friends in the class, and no one invited him to his classmates' birthday parties. Even the teacher didn't like to name him, so he sat at the same table as himself. Later, during the last sprint, he was transferred to the trash can position. The teachers hoped that he could listen more and preferably get into undergraduate school, not become one of the few vocational students in the class. Are you back? At the entrance, as usual, when greeted by the security guard, Lin Xia just nodded slightly and showed a bright smile. She was halfway home when she suddenly stopped again. She looked at security guard Su Bowen sitting in the security room and instinctively walked towards him. After seeing the owner Lin Xia suddenly approaching, Su Bowen quickly stood up and smiled. "Hello, Ms. Lin, do you need any help?" "Hello, I would like to ask my classmate, are you still here now?" "Which one?" "Zhang Sheng." "Oh, you said it's the kid wearing glasses. He just left this morning." "What did you do?" "I don't know, but Ms. Lin, as a classmate, you seem to be a bit of a mixed bag, deeply immersed and particularly fond of taking advantage of things. I guess you won't be able to come back with this 1,000 yuan. Hey. This kid looks like a MLM dealer again, with no gatekeeper on his lips. He's a person who can't even afford to eat. How could he have the face to say these things? Isn't this a joke? This is a scoundrel, a scammer, a scumbag. Su Bowen has a very poor impression of Zhang Sheng. He talked incessantly about Zhang Sheng's misconduct in the security room, with a curved mouth and even a hint of mockery in his words, as if it were a bizarre joke. Lin Xia didn't smile. She listened attentively instead. When Lin Xia heard security guard Su Bowen say that Zhang Sheng was a scoundrel, a scammer, and a scumbag, she felt inexplicably stuffy in her chest. Subconsciously, she felt that the security guard was saying something wrong, but for a moment she didn't know how to refute it. It seems that in a sense, Zhang Sheng is like that again. Half an hour later, she politely smiled and then turned around to leave the security room. He probably has no money left, he's really poor and crazy. He tried every means to scrape around. I heard he scraped against the clothes and car of the owner of the forest integrated stove. Do you think it's not good for people like this to stay in the countryside, grow crops, or learn skills? What are they doing here in Yenjing? It's really like it's in the 1970s or 1980s, and just mixing and mixing can lead to success. Still a writer. Writing a third-rate online novel, hoping to become famous. Are you joking? How many people are in this industry? How could someone like him stand out? Security guard Su Boen continued to chatter away Zhang Sheng's strange words behind Lin Xia. After finishing, he shook his head and felt that the young man was really off guard and had gone astray. Lin Xia paused for a moment while listening to Su Boen's words, her polite smile disappeared, and then silently walked step by step towards the front. She always felt in her heart that Zhang Sheng was not such a person, but she didn't know how to refute or say how did she refute. The storefront of Senran Integrated Stove has finally been decided to close, and it has been moved to another cheaper and less crowded place, but it is a gathering place for the decoration industry. There is no high-end feeling at all. Boss Lu Kai gritted his teeth and felt that Zhang Sheng had disrupted all of his layout, but there was nothing he could do. My wife and daughter both listened to Zhang Sheng, this furry kid. This month, 10 integrated stove orders. What a joke. Is it okay that the sales champion of Senran Integrated Stove only has 8 orders? Is this a newly established brand with no good market awareness or brand effect? Where do you find customers coming from the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com when the store is not a bustling place? Lu Kai became increasingly bored as he thought about it, and couldn't help but take a few sips of wine alone, feeling extremely frustrated. I originally planned to train Zhang Sheng on technical parameters, but now I think about it, he's so capable, he can learn on his own. Forget it. He shook his head, and as he arrived at the spot reserved for Zhang Sheng, he heard a sound of keyboard tapping. Damn it. What is this guy doing? Are you going to smash my computer? He gritted his teeth even more. Forget it, endure until the end of the month. Anyway, the commission from the previous order is still with me. No big deal, I won't give you a penny of this commission. Just as Lu Kai was planning to endure until the end of the month, he heard the keyboard sound stop. And then the door is open. Mr. Lu. Hello, what's wrong? Is there anything else I'm not satisfied with? Do you have 2 phones? What do you mean? Can you lend me your phone too? Anyway, if you're idle, why don't you give it to me? You know, running business also requires a phone, right? By the way, if possible, could you help me apply for a phone card? The money will be counted towards my commission, but if not, it will be counted towards my advance payment, right? What? Under the moonlight. Seeing such a shameless and progressive bespectacled man, the boss Lu Kai immediately clenched his fist. He felt that he had to give this 4-eyed dog some color to see. How about you give me another suit? I'm going to run downstairs tomorrow, but I'm short of a suit. Can you also provide it? What?